Blessed be everyone. Blessed be, and welcome to another Mystery Witch School YouTube live. Welcome to you watching the replay while we wait for people to come on live in the chat, which can take a while. If you're new to the channel, welcome to the channel. Today we are talking yet again about Hekate and working with Hekate for protection and empowerment. So we'll talk about Hekate, we'll talk about that type of magic that you're working with. But I'll just wait for some more people to get onto the live before we do that. If you are new to the channel, welcome to the channel. My name is Sandra. On this channel, you will find all things about Wicca and witchcraft, a fair bit about Hekate now, as well as tarot and shadow work. I'm also the author of Crafting Your Wiccan Path, and you can pick up that book at Amazon, either via Kindle or as a paperback. And there's a link in the description field for how you can pick up that book. That book's really, it's quite good for people even who've been on the Wiccan path. There's different, I might have a different way, I guess, of approaching it to a lot of people. I've been doing this now for over 40 years, so it's been a while, and I've gone through various different spiritual disciplines and niches and that in the meantime, so it's very much informed by that, but still sticking to a Wiccan form simply because it's a nice form, and form is useful to help us have something in which we can practice within. So that's how I teach Wicca. I'm pretty eclectic here. I'm not teaching a tradition. I don't really adhere to strict traditions because I find they tend to get stuck in the past and fossilize, and that happens with all religions and all things that we humans tend to create. We often get stuck when really, as consciousness progresses and as we learn more about ourselves and the universe, then the more we have to open up and be flexible for the new things that we are experiencing and the new things that we discover. So sometimes things that we believed in the past, we sort of realize aren't really so now, and we discover new things. So that's why I'm pretty eclectic. And plus, I've got a background in Buddhism and Sufism as well, and they tend to be, in the more mystical sense of those, more flexible too. It's from a mystical point of view, form, which is our rituals and the way we do things, is the container for the essence, for what we're putting in there, for the magic. It's the form isn't the goal. The goal is what we're doing within the form. So that's where I kind of sit when it comes to Wicca and witchcraft. Hello, Spice Lover. Hello, Shane, Joe, and Kimberly. It's good to see you. I hope you all had a wonderful Sabbath last week, as well as the new moon. We had a lovely new moon ritual in the Mystery Witch School 101 Academy on Friday morning, my time, which I think would have been Thursday afternoon, evening in the US and Canada. And really trying to use the energy of the astrology at the moment rather than caving in and trying to run away from it, because of course we can't. So there's a lot going on at the moment, and maybe a lot of you may be feeling that you just need that extra sense of safety and protection, and working with a deity like Hekate. She's a wonderful deity for all of those things. Okay, I'll just let you know that if you want to start your witchcraft practice, but you're just confused about how to start, how to bring it into your life on a regular basis, not just do it when you need to do a spell for something, but actually to try and reconnect with yourself again, your spirit again, reconnect with nature again, and just simply bring more joy and peace and connection into your life. I do have a free video. It's called How to Start Your Witchcraft Practice. Now, there's a link in the description field below this video. You can also grab it on my website, mysterywitchschool.com, and I'm just going to pop it here in the chat as well as soon as I grab it. Okay, hi Martina. I have a group video interview with an airline Tuesday. Super nervous. What spell can I do that will help me advance to the face-to-face interview? So do a spell for exactly that, for an interview. And that's the type of spell that you would be doing. It would be a job spell. So you could use, it depends, I suppose. I mean, if you're dealing with airlines and air, you're also dealing these days with electronic money. I would probably be working with something that represents the element of air, maybe also with the element of earth. So if you're working with crystals, you might like to work with maybe a yellow type crystal, like a citrine. Citrine's great because it's connected to money, as well as being that sort of golden color that's associated often with air. And the most important thing is that if you're using say a green candle or a yellow candle for these things, or even a white candle if you don't have any colored candles, the most important thing is to imagine yourself sitting in that circle, sitting in that panel or interview, and feeling confident at each step of the interview process. You go into wherever the interview is, you're feeling confident. You're sitting there, you're feeling confident. The interview ends, you're feeling really, really confident. And then what would you be doing once you've got the job? Like, once you've gone through this interview process, what if you get the outcome you want, what do you think you would do? Is there somebody you'd call on the phone to let them know? If so, imagine yourself calling that person on the phone and telling them that, hey, look, I just got this job. Or is there someone you live with that as soon as you get the news that you got it, that you'd tell? Often when we bring other people into our magic, when we're visualizing ourselves experiencing the wish fulfilled, it's good to have, like, maybe make a phone call in the visualization or speak to somebody and have them come back saying, congratulations. Oh, that's wonderful. Oh, I'm so happy for you. It can make it feel more real for you. So that's the way that I would handle a spell like that. You could also enchant, take a talisman in with you too. So make up a talisman using the exact same energy, the exact same visualization, and wear that or have it somewhere on you when you go into the interview. Now, there's lots of job spells out there, so you could take one from out there. I've got them in my A Witch's Guide to Magic course that's got job spells, and you just modify them to suit your specific job that you're going for. But there's heaps of them out on the internet as well. We just had daylight saving this morning here in New York City. Oh, so your times have changed. Okay. Hi, Angela. Hi, Sandy. Okay, so let's get talking about Hekate. So I'm just going to make sure I've got the right notes because I was working on some for... Okay. So you may be familiar with Hecate's symbols. There's also animals that are connected to Hekate as well, and you can work with those animals to help for protection too. Hekate works with a lot of different beings. She works with different spirits, other goddesses, particularly goddesses that are a triplicity, like the fates, like the graces, the hours, the gorgon, and also the furies as well. So she's kind of like I guess you could say, the head goddess, and the other goddesses there sort of work with her. Hecate's also got some very, very powerful, fierce aspects to her, particularly in her Vrimo aspect, and you can call upon her fierceness or some of the deities that work with her to help you with your protection magic and to help you step more into your inner strength and being confident with working with protection magic. Like all magic, protection is about you feeling safe, as if you already are safe. Even if you're nervous about something, even if you're not feeling 100% safe, there needs to be a part of you that's able to imagine what it would feel like to be powerful and to know that you have the power to be able to stand up to anyone or anything. And Hekate can help you with that in a number of different ways. So Hekate is a deity that stands at the crossroads. So she is a deity that can help you make decisions. She's a deity that knows that you will often be facing challenges, and she will help you find what it is that is challenging you, and also offer her assistance in the ways of doing magic. Now, when we're talking about Hecate's animals, we're looking at particular animals that you can be working with. The dog, for example, or Cerberus, is an animal that you can work with, even within a circle casting situation. If you are working with Hekate, you can bring the animals in at each quarter to represent the elements, and also to be protectors and guardians at that quarter. So when I've worked with Hekate in the past, I really enjoyed and had this sense of real protection and power when I called in these animals at the various quarters if I'm doing a circle. And the dog is the one that I use for earth. And that's an animal of loyalty, protection. It's a guardian of the threshold. And so I just visualize that this big black dog uh, at that quarter, at the earth quarter, and that it's guarding that quarter. So it's protecting me from any energy or anything coming from the earth quarter. So if you're in the northern hemisphere, that would be in the north. In the southern hemisphere, that would be in the south. The dog also symbolizes loyalty to ourselves as well. So in shadow work, which is another aspect of protection and empowerment, is really important, something you can work with Hecate, and the dog symbolizes that loyalty to oneself. So the empowerment side of feeling strong, feeling empowered, isn't just that you've got the magic there to help you. It's the fact that you've done a lot of work on yourself too, to know how powerful you are and to not be afraid of being so powerful. Because one of the scariest things for us humans to do is to truly step into our power. And every time we try to do that, or we're doing shadow work and we're coming along good, and then we hit a rock or a ceiling or a wall, it's usually because there's resistance coming up to the next level. And Hecate is great at helping you remove that wall, remove that ceiling. So the shadow work is really important there. And working with the energy of these animals can help you with the shadow work too. So if you are feeling like you're not safe, or you're not feeling empowered, you can call on Hecate's dog to be by your side and accompany you, just as you would if you were taking a dog for a walk. You probably feel safe if you're taking your dog for a walk, because dogs are very protective. And so you can connect with Hecate's animals too to help you that way. Another animal that I like to work with too is the snake, which is that transforming, shedding animal or energy. It's an animal of wisdom as well, but it's also an animal of poison too, or constriction. So it's something that we fear. All animals fear snakes. It's an instinct that we have because snakes can be deadly. And snakes can also symbolize shedding, so shedding old beliefs. So they're wonderful to work with when it comes to shadow work. It sheds its skin just as we can shed our negative beliefs and our fears. And with Hecate, it's that powerful symbol of transformation, so allowing you to release what no longer serves you. And it also coils around to form a protective shield. So it can keep harmful energies at bay as you work with your shadows, or if you're feeling you need some sort of a shield around you, you can imagine the snake coiling around you to protect you from a particular situation. And if you need to feel like you need that extra bit of protection, the snake could even be like ready to pounce or even bite if it needs to protect you. So it's a way that you can work with one of her other animals. Now, the owl, we wouldn't normally think so much about protection, but when it comes to working with Hecate, our clear sight in the darkness, which is what owls have, is really important to us, to be able to trust our intuition, to be able to see in the dark. So it's associated with wisdom and intuition for those reasons. The interesting thing about an owl is that it watches over us, okay? And an owl is also a very stealthy hunter. So it can come in and swoop without making a sound with its wings. What I find empowering about working with owl energy is that it helps us see through the shadows. We can see in the dark. We can see through people. We can see through things. So, another way of feeling more empowered, feeling more protected, is to develop your intuition, listen to your intuition and your guidance at being able to read people or get a sense of people, and to be able to see into other people as well. And when you've done a lot of shadow work, it becomes easier to do that because you've looked into yourself. And once you've looked into yourself a lot, you realize that we're not all that different. We're all very, 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 very similar. And it makes it easier for us to see other people. And that's an aspect of feeling empowered and an aspect of feeling protected, because you can see where something might end up going with a particular person. You might get a sense that this person isn't good for you. You might get a sense that this person is a threat. And so you have a bit of a head start in knowing what to do if you're needing to protect yourself in some way. So working with the animals like that, like the owl, is good to give you that sense of perception and diving deep into seeing the shadows in other people because you've had the ability to see them within yourself. Okay, life path 3. Beautiful animal, earth, wonderful power. Is the goddess associated with any planet or asteroid? Maybe in the birth chart. I have been recently. It was very recently. I think it was at the new moon. There were some astrologers talking about Hekate as, I think it was an asteroid, but the name isn't Hekate, but they were referring to Hekate. I can't remember if the asteroid had a connection with another deity that's often associated with Hekate, but I thought that was interesting. But I had never really heard of her being associated with a particular planet before. Yes, the owl is wonderful. Potentially very frightening. Yes, I can imagine it's frightening in the US. Absolutely. I have an owl sculptured candle and did not know how to use it. Well, the owl is absolutely amazing to work with. I'm wearing an owl at the moment, and I love working with owl energy. I work with owl energy when I'm working one-on-one with people because I need to be able to go into the shadows and help them with their shadows. And so whenever I'm doing any sort of shadow work or anything like that, I'm working with the energy of owl. And if you're a person too who works with other people in a way that's mentoring, coaching, or counseling or whatever, then you'll be using owl energy too. And the other energy, so the owl I always associate with the element of air, of course, wings, fly, air. And the snake I associate with fire. I've always associated the snake with fire. It's always been my fire animal. Right from the very, very beginning of when I started even working with the elements way back in the 90s, snake was always fire for me. So I would work with it and have it in I live in Australia, Southern Hemisphere. So it was in the north for me, and it's always in the north for me. But if you're in the Northern Hemisphere, that would be the south. And the owl is air. And the one that I've worked with for water is actually frog, big frogs, the lily pond. And they are associated with Hecate. But they're a beautiful animal of cleansing and transformation. They symbolize healing, especially emotional healing, and transitions from one state of being to another, because they start off as a tadpole and then turn into a frog. And as a protector animal associated with the West and the element of water, it can help you clear away and wash clean any negative energy that is around you, emotional clutter, and creating that space. So if you're working with the elements to help you feel more protected, or you're doing protection magic to clean away negative energy, you're working with Hecate, you can set up a circle with these elements as the quarters, the 4 quarters, and work with each of those animals and ask them to cleanse the space using their particular attributes and their particular talents. And it feels very, very powerful. I really enjoy working with these animals in this way. When I first started working with them, they were all there immediately, and I felt the power. Okay, I'll just go for more questions before I go on. Forgive my ignorance. I thought I read a day of worship in November. Oh, a day. Hang on. Was I not reading properly? She does have a day in November. It's the 16th. It's a modern construct. It's not something that's traditional. And so that's the day. I'll just go back to the question and make sure I read it all. I was thinking planets and asteroids. Yeah. Yeah. I have not looked at the astrology so much with regard to Hekate, so there may be other things in there. I definitely heard an astrologer talking about it, though, leading up to the new moon. Okay. Is Hekate associated with crows? Not traditionally, no. She is now. People will associate her with crows now, but that's more of a modern construct. She wasn't originally associated with crows so much. I think it's because crows are their energy is magic. They are the bringers of magic and change. And I can understand the connection between Hecate and crows there when it comes to change and needing to change, because crows can give tough lessons or tough messages, really, because they're the bringers of change. But traditionally, no. You have channeled the goddess. Are you channeling now? Forgive my childlike. No, I'm not channeling Hecate at the moment. Not consciously, anyway. I have done that with Hecate on other occasions of channeling her. It's not so much channeling her. I like to work with her, so I sort of allow her to guide my thoughts and ideas. And I know that when she's stimulating those thoughts and ideas and guiding me when I'm doing the shadow work. So when I'm tapping, which I do EFT, when I'm doing shadow work a lot, I know she's guiding that. And when I'm meditating, so if I'm doing a meditation to maybe find a fear or find what's causing emotional upset, and I ask Hecate, I invoke Hecate to be with me, I find that if I go into meditation and I really feel into what I'm feeling, that she actually guides me into more of the nuance of what the feeling is so that I can capture what the belief is underneath it. And when I work with her on those things, I have a lot more success than if I just try to do it on my own. So I work with Hecate more as I'm working with her rather than opening up and channeling what she would say. Okay. Yeah, two separate questions. Okay. Great. Okay, so that's working with her animals, setting up a circle like you would a normal Wiccan circle, but instead of doing pentagrams or calling in maybe more traditional elements, you would call in those animals and work with those. And they'd be absolutely wonderful to work with. If you're more advanced and you do shape shifting, you can shape shift into those animals when you feel the need to protect yourself or take care of something, like shape shifting into the energy of the dog. You can become quite fierce. Snake, the same thing. And by shape shifting into those animals and taking on those animals' characteristics, you can do magic in that state, or you can be doing work to help you feel more powerful. So you have the courage of the dog. You know that you have the wisdom of the snake. You have the silence of the owl. Being invisible and being silent can be a defense. It can be a way that you can go under the radar, so to speak. So it's another way of you being able to defend yourself is by making yourself invisible. And the owl is good at helping you with that because they're such stealthy hunters of the night. So if you're wanting to do invisibility magic working with Hecate's animals, you could work with the owl and work more on being silent and going more under the radar with things rather than being sort of big and overt and barking like a dog would. So there's just different ways of approaching situations, either overt like the dog or covert like the owl. Okay, other ways that you can work with Hecate is with her symbols. So her keys, for example, the keys open the doors. Open the door to wisdom, open the doors to realization, open the doors to freedom, open the doors to empowerment. Working with the torches to give you sight, to give you light, to be able to see through things, help you with your divination. If you're feeling that you need to use tarot, for example, to get clear about a situation you're not sure of, then ask her to shine a light on your reading with her torches so that you can see clearly what is there that you may need to take notice of and be aware of. You can also work with, we've talked about the snake. She also has a whip as well. You could work with that energy to whip through things. She has a dagger. You can work with the dagger energy to cut through things. So if there's obstacles in your way, cutting through those obstacles with the dagger. You can see the sword or the dagger as a defense. So you're armed for a particular situation. So you can ask her to lend you her sword to help you cut through something or to help you stand firm and stand strong in your empowerment, in your resolve. So using her symbols that way. And the way that you work with Hecate is to ask her to help you with these things. Ask her to lend you her torches, lend you her sword, lend you her keys so that you can use them in ways to be more empowered, to feel more protected. Hecate works with other goddesses, like I said at the beginning, and I like to work with Hecate and the Gorgon for protection as well. So you can ask Hecate to be present and to then you'd call on the Gorgon under Hecate's presence. Now, under Hecate's presence, the Gorgon are going to be under her reign, so you don't need to fear them being out of control or anything. They are under her reign. And then you can ask them to give you protection in some way, or you can even create, and this is goes with the animals as well. You can create talismans and amulets and charms, asking the animals, asking the Gorgon or any of the goddesses that work with Hecate and Hecate herself to empower a charm, to empower an amulet to keep you safe and to keep you protected. And just imagine those. If it's the Gorgon, for example, that they are putting their energy into the amulet. And so it's their energy that goes into it. And so when you wear that amulet, you have the protection of the Gorgon with you. And if you do find yourself in a sticky situation, you can just imagine calling on them in your mind or out loud, and they will be present. And imagine them, the three of them. You've got Medusa, you've got Stheno, and Uriel. I can't pronounce her name. And they are around you. The three of them are around you. You can do that with the dog. You could do that with the snake. You could do that also with owl as well. Other goddesses that Hecate does work with is the Furies, although the Furies are more like attack goddesses, so you probably wouldn't want to work with them so much because they're more for attack, psychic attack. But they are goddesses there that are under Hecate's jurisdiction too. In a positive way, you can work with the graces to bring in more of the good things into your life, to bring more love, to bring more healing, to bring more abundance into your life. So you can ask for Hecate to bring in the graces and imagine that they are there fulfilling you with all the good stuff, because good stuff is protective too. The more good things you have in your life, the more abundance you have, the more love you have in your life, the healthier you are, the more you're protected, the more power you have. Our health is very important. Our physical health is very important because our energy comes from our health. And if we're not healthy, we don't have the energy that we need to be able to do the magic. We don't have the energy to be able to do the shadow work. We don't have the energy to be able to really feel empowered and do the things that we need to be doing in life or want to be doing in our life. So our health is very, very important. So understanding what makes you healthy is a form of protection. What do you know makes you healthy? And that's mental health as well as physical health. What do you eat that maybe sabotages your health? What could you eat that could actually make you have more energy and more health? Things like this are important things to consider when you're looking at empowerment and you're looking at protection. And you can ask Hekate to help you with those things too, because she will reveal to you, believe me, she will reveal to you the things that you might need to change if you're struggling in any way with your mental health or with your physical health, because yeah, she helps you reveal things, helps you see things. So those things are very important to protection as well. Okay, so canine guardian for earth, snake for water, snake. I do snake for fire. Yes, snake for fire. Some people might do snake for earth because it slides along the earth, but I've always associated snakes with fire. And the owl is air. Yes, frog is water. I'd like to protect my creative space. Is there a goddess of art and ecology that Hekate works with? You could work with the graces for that. You've got Talia, Euphrosyne, and Aglaia. You could work with them for creativity and protecting a creative space, because they're going to lend their energy to help with that creative space. So they're probably the best goddesses to work with with that. Any of the goddesses of beauty and like Venus as well, working with Aphrodite or Venus too is a great goddess to work with for the art. And if you're looking at ecology, then certainly Venus there, because Venus was actually originally a vegetation goddess. So working with those goddesses, I mean, they're not necessarily goddesses that work under Hekate, but they can certainly work together because they're from the same pantheon. So you could work with those goddesses too to help protect a space. And create an amulet or a ward for that space. So it's a physical space, create a ward that has the energy of Hekate, that has the energy of the graces in it. And if you're really concerned, the Gorgon as well, the Gorgon can just be a backup to scare anybody away from any mischief in that space. Okay, can you speak on when, if, how the goddess would call upon you? So if Hekate is going to call upon you, she will do it when you least expect it. And it could be in any way, shape, or form that is going to resonate with you and that you're going to know is her. So for me, it was the moon. And our Hekate is associated with the dark moon and the new moon, not the full moon, but the moon was waxing in the sky. It was a few days away from the full moon. And it was during the day. I was out in a liminal space overlooking the ocean, and liminal spaces are Hecatean spaces. And I looked up at the moon, which I've done many, many times before. And at that time, I was working with another deity. And I looked up at the moon. I saw the moon for some reason. This day, it reminded me of a tarot card that is in the Mythic Tarot deck by Julian Sharman Burke. And I thought Hekate, because she's the moon card in that deck. And as soon as I thought Hekate, I heard in my mind, it's time to work with me now. And I had never considered working with Hekate before. She was not a deity I'd ever investigated, I'd ever thought of working with. I'd heard of Hekate a lot, but I just didn't have the interest in working with her. And I'd come across her a bit during that time, but I just wasn't interested in it necessarily in following anything up that was Hekate. And then as soon as that happened, then it felt right. It just felt right. It's the only way to explain it is it felt right. And I thought, okay, well, I'll have to investigate this. Other people have different experiences. Sometimes she might appear to people in dreams. She might appear to people by being around a lot. So they might be, scrolling on YouTube, and for some reason that day, Hekate is coming up all the time. Or they're opening up a book and Hekate is somehow mentioned in that book multiple times. They may even have a dog turn up in some way, shape, or form, a black dog turn up in their lives in some way, shape, or form. That often happens even when people start working with Hekate, that sometimes dogs will show up too, because they're associated with her. So it can be whatever way you're going to understand it is how she will show up. She doesn't have particular ways of doing it. It's however is going to work with you. So if you have been having some sort of experiences of Hekate in some way, then she may be calling upon you to work with her. And you may even have her presence there, feeling her presence there. With the goddess Briad, I have felt her presence when I'm doing a morning practice. And so I know, okay, she's wanting to work with me for some reason, to help me in some way. Usually it's to help you in some way, okay? They're there to help you. They're not there to hinder you. They're there to help you. And Hekate is always waiting for you to be ready to do the work with her. And if you're interested in shadow work and you're doing shadow work, then she's most likely going to be the deity that turns up for you. Even if she turns up in ways you least expect to see her come up. So when it comes to magic and working with Hekate for protection, work with her and work with all of her entourage as well. So it's looking at all of these things that are associated with Hekate and utilizing those tools, whether it's the animals, whether it's the goddesses, whether it's Hecate's symbols and tools that she has, and asking her to lend you her tools, to even lend you her animals, so to speak, to lend you, to help you work with the Worgen, or to help you work with the graces. And by her presence, and that's just a normal invocation, calling upon Hekate, I ask you to be present today in my circle, or if it's just a daily practice in front of your altar, I ask you to be present today. Oh, Hekate, help me in this, whatever it is you need help in. Maybe you feel you need protection from something that's going on at work. So, oh, Hekate, help me. Show me how I can protect myself from this situation that's happening at work. And if you ask her to show you, and maybe go into a meditation or get your tarot cards out, the answer will be there in either the meditation or the cards in some way. You might get an idea. You might get a feeling. You might get a vision if you're clairvoyant. You might hear something. Whatever comes to you after you've asked Hekate for that is what is her speaking to you and giving you that advice if you're looking for advice. You might feel inspired to do a spell of protection. You might feel inspired to do a reversal spell. You might not know, maybe somebody is sending you negative energy, whether consciously or unconsciously, and you're feeling it. And maybe Hekate is letting you know that. And so you're inspired to do a reversal, even though you don't know where that energy might be coming from. Or you're wanting to protect yourself in some way from some sort of energy that's around you. So you do a banishing or some kind of work that way. Okay, the moon, dark moon. I was just going to ask if you associated a tarot. What deck? It's the Mythic Tarot by Juliet. I think I said Julian before. Juliet Sharmanberg. And she has Hekate as the moon card because it's a Greek. So she's got all the Greek characters and deities from Greek mythology. I can see an image of Hekate with the graces dancing around her at the center. An open creative space rippling out protection, honoring the personhood of all of the plants and animals where we weave dreams. Beautiful. Beautiful. That is a beautiful image, and that is a great image of protection. And if you're doing that in your space, then that will ripple out into the space. And if you did that every day, then you're going to have a very powerful, beautiful space to do that in. So it's simple things like that. Using your imagination is really important. Hekate will use your imagination to communicate with you, to give you hints and little nudges. She'll use your imagination. She'll use your intuition, or you'll be using your intuition to connect with her. And she will give you signs of things. So whatever you resonate with, however you work personally with receiving signs, like some people like to work a lot with angel numbers, like 333, 777, that kind of thing. And so often deities will work through those numbers because they know that's something that you can work with. Hecate never really worked through numbers with me. The only numbers she has ever worked with me has been 333. It's the only time she's actually used a number to connect, and that was 333, which of course 3 is one of her numbers. So that makes sense to me. But usually I haven't had that number thing going on so much with Hecate. But if there is a number thing going on, there'll be 3s in the number, and it will probably be a 333 or a 33 or just a 3. So that's another way she can contact you. So the protection magic, you can just do a normal protection spell. You can make an amulet, a normal amulet, but ask Hecate to bless the amulet and to work with her animals or work with those other deities to charge up that amulet with their protective energy. And when I'm doing an amulet or a talisman, I like to charge it up, so put the energy into the talisman, and then I'll go and present that amulet to each of the quarters and ask each of the beings at each quarter, so in this case the animals, to bless that talisman and to bring their energy into that amulet or talisman. If I'm working with other goddesses, I will present the amulet to each of those 3 goddesses. So I will walk around my circle as if it's like a triangle and present it to each of the 3 goddesses and ask them to bless and infuse their energy into that amulet or into that talisman. And then that talisman then is good to go. And if you want to charge it up every so often at a new moon or a dark moon, if you're working with Hecate, then you can charge it up doing exactly the same process. What I find when I'm presenting an amulet or a talisman to the elements or to the goddesses is it just feels more powerful for me to do that because you're adding extra energy into it by doing that. And you are also making it more real too on a subconscious level, on a psychological level, because you're putting more of your own focus and energy into the ritual itself. And there's a lot of magic in those actions. Okay, let's have a look and see if there's anything else. Now, has anybody got any questions specifically about protection and empowerment with Hecate and unlocking your inner strength? When you're working with Hecate, you will tend to feel stronger because she's going to take you on that kind of a journey. You know you've got the protection of the animals and the goddesses she works with. You also know that she's going to help you if you want to. If you want to take the shadow work journey, that she will help you with the shadow work, which makes you stronger internally. It gives you a stronger sense of self. And I don't mean ego self. I mean self as in your being self, your higher self, your spiritual self. And she'll also help you get rid of all of those thoughts, those beliefs that are keeping you stuck in feeling not good enough or feeling trapped or feeling as if you're not allowed to do things or that there's some force or something over you that's stopping you from being able to truly be who you are. And believe me, Hecate is the one to work with if you're really wanting to get through that, because I find that with my own personal shadow work, the ceilings that you get to or the walls that you hit, each one is a resistance to the change. And often that resistance is this belief that there's something or someone stopping you from being able to get through to the other side of that wall. And that it feels very, very real that it's just not going to happen. And Hekate is probably the only deity I've worked with who's able to sort of basically say nonsense to that. You find what it is that you're believing, you find what it is that you're telling yourself, and you change it and you work with it. That's why she's such a great deity to work with. Okay, I work at a fiber art studio at a state college in New York. I'll bring this vision with me. Yep, many students are going through some deep healing and art therapy. Protection spells are so needed. Absolutely. So even if you're just bringing that in, Del, where you're seeing Hecate and the graces, they're dancing there at the center, and you're feeling this beautiful energy rippling out, it's going to make a huge difference if you do that every time you go there. And even if you do take a small something like a ward or something that you can put in that space, then that it's going to have that energy in it and protect that space. And you'll find that over probably a short period of time, that the people who come into that space, particularly if they come in regularly, they're going to notice a difference. They're going to notice a change. And it's going to be it's going to be a sacred space to them, actually. It's going to feel to them like there's something sacred about this, not just safe, but sacred, which is that, next level, really. The Greek pantheon, there's always an owl in there somewhere. Yeah. Blessed be. Great to be behind our queen. Okay. So that's just some tips on working with Hecate for strength and empowerment. And I know that Magick, when we first come to Magick, often we're coming to Magick because we're feeling we're lacking something. So a lot of us might come to Magick because we need something. For example, we might need money, or we might want more love into our lives, or you may feel that you've been cursed, or that there's negative energy around you. And so you might come to Magick with the need to do something about that. We often come to Magick with an ego need, and often not with a real desire to transform ourselves. It's like we're looking for magic to fix things, and looking at magic as an outside thing that's going to fix the perceived outside things that we're wanting fixing. When you're working with Hecate, yes, you can do all of that, and a lot of people do. But if Hecate is calling you, then she's probably asking you to do it on the inside because the inside is actually where the power is. It's not out there. There is nothing out there. The magic isn't out there. The situations aren't even out there. They're actually, they're being experienced through us. We're experiencing these things, and we're perceiving these things as being out there. But a lot of it, particularly the way we feel emotionally, is actually happening within ourselves. And Hecate can help you change those things so that you're not experiencing so much of the negative within yourself, and that changes the outside world. That's the change is actually inside. And I think Hecate's come at this time. Thank you so much, Not Queen. That is wonderful. Thank you so much. And it is totally needed as well. So thank you for the super chat. There's also super thanks there too, for those of you who might be watching the replay. If you want to support the channel, I've also got PayPal me as well. So this inner work that I really feel Hecate's pushing at the moment, and why she's being so prevalent everywhere at the moment, and has been for probably maybe a decade or so, is because lots of stuff's happening in the world. There's a total change. We've got Pluto going into Aquarius now for the next 20 or so years, totally left Capricorn, and all of those old hierarchical structures won't be back there for another 200 and something years. So we're really going through a transformative time that, as transformation is, it is very rocky and very unpleasant at the beginning. until it goes through the letting go, and everything that needs to go and change goes and changes. So Hekate is very much around at the moment, and I think that's why she's inspiring a lot of people to work with her and calling a lot of people to work with her. Hi, Archdragon. So it's that easy. Hekate is great to work with, easy to work with. She has helped me tremendously in both magic. Now, protection magic is something that I've always been good at. It's something that I've always innately been good at. It's one of my strong points when it comes to magic. I know that maybe for other people, they may struggle with protection magic. And this is where Hekate can help you in working with her animals, working with her goddesses, and her tools can help you with that. Now, the 16th of November, I'm wondering where Mercury is right now in my chart. The 16th of November in modern day is associated with Hekate, as I was saying before. And so I'm launching a course on the 16th of November that is a course with Hekate. So it's a shadow work course with Hekate. It's called A Journey with Hekate, Awaken Your True Self. And it's a course that's probably going to run roughly for about 4 months, because you get 2 weeks to do the activities in the course. And the whole idea of doing this course with Hekate is to identity shift into who you truly are and who you truly want to be, rather than being stuck back as feeling like there's just something always stifling you or stopping you from truly expressing who you are and stepping into the life you want to step into and be. I know there's a lot of people who just want to have, it's not so much that you're wanting a different material lifestyle, but you're wanting to be able to express yourself and expand yourself in ways. Now, these ways may require material things. Often being in a material world, they will. So you may need to move, you may need to be in a different place, you may need material things to help you with this expansion. But it's more of an expansion of you being able to be who you are, to do the things that you're wanting to do in the way that you want to do them, rather than having other things or feeling or believing that there's always these other forces stopping you and stifling you. And this feeling of the other forces stopping and stifling is really just beliefs that we've grown up with, because we've grown up in situations, families, culture, school, where there were a lot of people and situations stifling you and keeping you from being who you truly were as a child. Now, some of that was necessary for safety, but when we're adults, we need to get rid of all of that, because we need to be able to step into who we are. And this is work that I've been doing with Hekate now for some time. And she's been wanting to do shadow work for some time. And so this is it, working the shadow work with Hekate. So this course has got 2 courses in it. It's got a mini course, which is a tarot course with Hekate. So it's shadow work with tarot, working, with Hekate overseeing that. So there's two courses in one. It's going to release on the 16th of November. So I will let you know closer to that how it goes, how it's unfolding. And if you're on my mailing list already, then you will get emails letting you know when it's ready and when you can join up to do that. There's also going to be rituals in that. The rituals are mostly focused on the identity shifting, and to help you with the identity shifting, there's meditations in there, but there's also other ways of working with Hekate too, working with the 4 animals, setting up a daily practice with Hekate and the 4 animals, the Dipnon, those things are part of that course as well. So just letting you know that is coming. Now, for those of you who want to learn Wicca and witchcraft with me, just general stuff on, just get started on the path before you start diving into shadow work, particularly a deep dive with Hekate, I have the Mystery Witch School 101 Academy. And that course is a 12-month course that starts you right from the very beginning of your witchcraft practice and teaches you how to work with energy, how to work with the seasons, how to work with the elements, to start connecting to your magic and to start connecting to yourself and to nature and to your spiritual path. I treat this as a spiritual path. I know witchcraft doesn't have to be a spiritual path. I treat it as one because I think that it's very powerful as a spiritual path. And so I have that Mystery Witch School 101 Academy. A part of that academy, there's also another course in that too called The Witch's Guide to Magic, which gives you over 100 different spells from all different types of spells that you can do. I go through 4 key spell types, which is like love and relationships, money, protection magic, and also health and wellness magic. And I talk about how they're different to each other and what you need to know to be able to be good at all of them, because generally we're not good at all of them. So that's part of that course as well. So you can join that at any time, and I will just put the link in the chat. It's in the description box underneath the video and on my website, mysterywitchschool.com. Okay. This was her message to me 24 hours ago. Glad I could pass it to the next. Cheers. We have a deep connection with the seahorse. Ah, wow. Okay. Awesome. I'm just going to check and see. Look forward to joining the course. Awesome, Not Queen. Possible water offerings to open up space for her. Yes, yes. Hekate is a goddess of the sea. She's the goddess of the earth, the sea, and the sky. So she's the goddess of the 3 realms. Okay, there's not a realm that Hekate is not part of. I know a lot of people like to focus on her being chthonic and being in the underworld sort of all the time, which she certainly has that energy there. But she's also a goddess of the Empyrean realms too, in her Soteria aspect and Savioress aspect. So she's a goddess you can work with in so many different ways. That's why she's so flexible. Okay, everybody, thank you for attending. I hope you enjoyed it and you got a lot from it. And you can still comment in the comments field if you're watching the replay. Blessed be everyone. Have a wonderful week. Maybe do extra meditation this week, maybe extra in your daily practice if you are in the US, because it's a pretty tumultuous time at the moment. USA is going through a Pluto return too, so you've got this astrological stuff going on. So that's a big thing, a Pluto return. So yeah, lay low and connect with your magic, connect with nature, connect with all of the deities that you work with, and ride your broom through the storm. Okay. Just join the 101 course and looking forward. Oh, awesome. Thank you, Kimberly. Good to have you along. I look forward to seeing you in the Zoom calls if you're able to come along. Okay, blessed be everyone, and we'll see you again next week.